Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to another Akira live development session, live development vlog, talking about open source and all the things that pass through my mind, answering your questions and just showcasing the progress on the Akira project. Thank you everyone for joining. Already we have a bunch of people in the chat asking questions. It's great to see this activity. How's everybody doing? What time is it in your beautiful, beautiful country? I am in Vancouver, Canada. Today it's a bit cloudy, moody. It's not too hot, not too cold. It's just usual weather for early June in Canada. But yeah, let me know how's everybody doing. I'm a bit sleepy because I haven't slept very well last night, so I will apologize in advance if I'm gonna say something very, very silly, or this live streaming is gonna be a complete train wreck, but we're gonna have fun anyway, and we're gonna talk a little bit about open source. What it is, Akira, what is it? What is this thing? Akira is a native Linux UI and UX design application. Native, it means it's not Electron, it's not JavaScript, it's not web technologies running on a virtualization layer or Electron or WebAssembly or whatever to simulate a desktop application. Is native, so it's written with a low-level programming language, in this case written in Vala, which natively compiles in C and runs natively in your operating system. So we can tap all the performance of the bare metal of your beautiful, beautiful machine. For Linux, only for Linux for now, because on Windows and Mac OS, users and designers, they have millions of alternatives, both paid and free, but very good and professional level, and also very shitty and not very great, and not great to use in a professional environment. But there are a lot of good alternatives for user interface and user experience design. I'm not talking about photo retouching. I'm not talking about vector graphic. I'm talking about specifically user interface and user experience design. And those two things you really need in order to do those. You really need a specific software that allows you to work on those aspects. For sure you can work on UI and UX design also in Paint or Microsoft Paint, or you can do it on whatever, on GIMP, on Inkscape, or on even on your pen and paper, on a sketchbook. It doesn't matter. But what matters is the speed that your tool enables you to go through, and how productive you can be with a tool that follows those schematics and follows those best practices in order to make you more productive and enabling you to do more with less time. So that's what Akira is trying to solve. It's trying to solve that problem for Linux users, because in the Linux design ecosystem, currently it doesn't exist an app specifically focused for that. There are a lot of super cool apps, amazing open source achievement that can do a million different things. Krita, for example, is far superior than Photoshop when it comes to digital painting. And it's primarily an open source and Linux design application. GIMP is an amazing photo retouching tool. Inkscape is extremely powerful vector graphic, but we're not trying to replace those tools. We're trying to create something completely different for an area of design that is not currently covered by the available programs. So, little disclaimer, I know probably if you know about Akira, you already know all these things, but I still wanted to introduce it once again, because I keep getting asked the same questions, like why you're trying to make Akira, like why can you not use GIMP or Inkscape, or what's the purpose of all this? So this is the overall general explanation, but let's take a look at something very cool, shall we? So first of all, you let me know if everything looks good. I'm connected through my laptop, which is running Elementary OS 6 beta, and it's connected through an HDMI input card into my desktop computer, which is running Pop OS, and I'm streaming through OBS via the desktop HDMI card laptop. So it's a nice setup. Let's see if everything works nicely. But first of all, if you like the project and you want to support it and you want to show the world that you're awesome and you know how to wear cool t-shirts, go to my YouTube channel and click on the store link, and you can buy Akira merch, because everyone knows that a project is not really a project if it doesn't sell merch. And if the merch is not available for that specific application, is it even real, the application? I think not. So I think you should definitely have an Akira t-shirt or a sticker or a mug or whatever you want, like this one. Beautiful, beautiful t-shirt that everyone should have. So go to my YouTube channel and that /store, or just click on the store button and get your swag, because you need it. Also, this episode or this live streaming, it's brought to you by probably linode.com. No, it's brought to you by linode.com. Linode is the largest cloud infrastructure ecosystem that supports Linux. If it runs on Linux, it runs on Linode. If you need a virtual space, a VPS, or a server, something to experiment with your personal project, you need to check Linode, and you can go to linode.com/aleka to get $100 off of your first 60 days. So you have $100 of credit to destroy whatever thing online you want to do and just crunch those machines on Linode and just like push it to the limit. It's gonna be awesome. So if you go to the link, you support the channel and you show Linode that people that are interested in Akira also love Linode. So it's a win-win situation for all of us. But let's talk Akira, shall we? Danny writes, so your day job isn't real. I never said that. I'm pretending to do what I'm doing. Aleta says, I'm from Morocco. Beautiful weather. It's 8 in the afternoon or 8 in the evening. Beautiful. Thank you for joining. So, a lot of things happened in Akira recently. A lot of improvements, a lot of changes, and a lot of architectural fundamental discussions are being explored in order to be sure that Akira is performant, it's stable, and can scale properly to the level that we want it to scale. Right now, Akira, it's in a pretty decent state. It's still in alpha. There are a lot of things missing. If you're curious of like, when are you going to release whatever, are you going to release your beta or a more stable or production ready, you can go to the github.com/AkiraUX/Akira repository and check in the issues, the beta release wishlist that it's pinned at the top. You can check it there. And we don't have a set date. We don't ship by date, we ship by tasks. So when all these tasks are completed, we're going to ship the production-ready version of Akira. And there's still a lot to do, like a million things to do, but we stopped temporarily because all these things can be done. It's not that it's impossible or it's not doable. All these things can absolutely be done, but we stopped temporarily because we are considering an architectural update, which I'm going to discuss right now in a little bit. There are a lot of good things that you can do already in Akira, and probably next weekend I'm going to release another version like 0.015 or 0.016, I don't remember, but on FlatHab or Flatpak, I'm going to release an updated version so you can experiment with this. But already a bunch of nice improvements have landed in the latest version of Akira. So first of all, we got some quick bug fixes. Here before in the color field, in the input field that manages the color, we had a bug that if you deleted the pound key or the pound symbol, the application was crashing. Now, thanks to a user or contributors, like this has been fixed, and it recognizes all your things, and whatever you change, the color automatically changes color, so it works out of the box here. And of course, it updates also the color picker. The speed of creation of items has been drastically improved. Before there was a little tiny delay because we were generating a lot of widgets immediately, even if we didn't need those widgets right off the bat. It was, yeah, kind of insane. There's also, yeah, the snapping, the snapping. Also an improvement on the grid has landed, and I don't know about the resolution, how it looks, but it's probably, right now you see it a bit pixelated. It's not super sharp. That's because of the HDMI pass-through that I'm doing. So the actual application is super sharp. It's not pixelated. So all the things that you're seeing right now during the live streaming might look a bit janky sometimes in terms of pixel rendering and sharpness. That's just because of the streaming. I need to figure out why my HDMI pass-through is looking janky as hell, but hopefully it looks decent enough. But you can enable and disable the pixel grid by hitting Shift and Tab. By hitting Shift and Tab, you see the pixel grid appears and disappears. And some items you say, oh, these are not aligned to the pixel grid, but they actually are, because we adapt the offset of the grid, of the pixel grid, based on your zoom level. So you can see I'm zooming and the amount of lines in the pixel grid are increasing until you actually reach the pixel. And now you can see the item is properly aligned to the pixel. Of course, there's a border that by SVG standard, it's 0.5 to the left and right, so it's center, but here it's perfectly aligned to the pixel grid. And when you zoom out, of course, the pixel grid readapts and shrinks down to a manageable look. And of course, there are all the options that you want to customize the pixel grid. For example, you can customize the color, you can hide it if you want with a simple button, or you can hide it with your Shift Tab shortcut. So that's super cool, and it's super fast. It's amazing. Another thing that we implemented, if I'm not wrong, a lot of fixes actually have landed. A lot of fixes on the layers panel, a lot of fixes on the speed of generating these items, on the selection of generating these items, a lot of fixes for the artboard. Here, the label now, I need to improve it a little bit, but the artboard label now shrinks, like changes the font size based on your zoom level. Before it wasn't doing it. It was just very terrible. So yeah, good stuff. Oh, there's also another thing that I think we have the author here. We have Abdallah Mohammed, which is a contributor in the Akira project. He helped to implement a global color library. So right now, when you create, actually, let me shrink this down so it goes up and you can see better. If I click it, should open, yeah, above. So when you open the color picker now, this is the thing that we generate on the fly. We don't generate when you create the item, and you generate only when you click it. Now you have a little plus button that whatever color you have, for example, you really like these, let's make these aqua color. Oh, I love this aqua color. I want to keep it. I don't want to constantly just save or copy the color number, because I don't know, I have like other 10 shapes or whatever, all the shapes that I have here. I want the shapes with the same color. Yes, I could copy the color and paste it here, or I could click on the color picker and click here. But also, if you really like this color and you want to keep it in your library, you can, come on, open it up, this widget, open it above, no. Okay, above, yes. And you really like it, you just click plus and the color will be added in the array of global colors that are saved globally. So it doesn't matter what project you use, are saved globally in your application. So now if I click on another shape and I open the library, I can click on that color. And I can cycle through all the colors that I picked and that I like. So it's very handy. Those colors are saved in the G settings, in the global colors, the config editor. For now, we're just saving it. There's no options to reorder it, delete them, but I'm gonna work on this. We're gonna implement this slowly we're going to implement that little tiny option, so it's going to be awesome and very cool. And also in the future we're going to also implement document specific color array or color library, so only the file that you're currently working on will have that color scheme or the color library. So if you're working on a file with a specific brand identity, that brand identity will not leak in all the other colors, but if you want some global colors, these are available everywhere. And also probably we're going to use the same section, but it needs some mockups and some prototyping because we want to allow importing and exporting GPL colors libraries. Basically it's a text-based list of colors, something like Inkscape uses. So we got that in place. Thank you, Abdallah, for your awesome contribution. But there are things that we need to work on in order to improve this code. And the most recent thing that landed in the pull request was a little bit of reworking of the widgets area, because before we had some section called layouts, but the layouts wasn't very correct. It's better to call it widgets. And all these widgets, all these parts now that are called widgets, there are some heavily repeated code that we need to shrink down. For example, if we go into the fill item.vala, which is in the partials of layout, the fill item is basically almost identical as the border item. You see in the create UI, we have the field chooser and the selected color BG. And when we select a color, we initialize the color chooser. Same thing in the border item. We have the selected color container, the BG pattern. When we click on the color, we need the color chooser. So there's a lot of repeated code. And one of the main objectives recently is to let's simplify this application, let's simplify the code, let's avoid repetition, let's clean it up, let's make it easier to understand and to read. That's my main objective. That's what I'm doing. I'm focusing on the UI aspect, on the exterior aspect of the application in order to avoid repeated code, make it easier to update, make it easier to maintain. The other massive work that is currently going on, it's a complete rebuild of the components. The components refactor is undergoing, and as you can see here, I don't know if you can read it, but we have 6,000 lines plus lines of code that has been added here with 57 file changes, and this user, Bfraga, is doing an amazing work in making this happen. Why we're doing this? We're doing this because in the current state, it's very hard to scale properly this application. And scale this application, it means we were having issues in handling history or saving states or doing Control-Z or like undo, redo. Being able to have complex shapes or duplicate item, clone items, and all these other pretty standard things that every design applications do. We were having a hard time because of the way the architecture is structured. The architecture is a component-based architecture, and those components are kind of static. You create them, they're there, you can change the attributes of those components, but after you change the attribute of a component, you completely forget what was the previous attribute. So we started, especially he started experimenting with this approach of when a component change, you create a new component. So the old component, for example, if you change the size, we don't update the size attribute. We create a new size component and we replace the old one. So we have the old size component that is in memory, it's stored in the cache somewhere. And if you hit Control-Z, we just reinstate, we re-enable, we swap back the old component. Because otherwise the approach that we were having before, it was just saving the entire canvas as a JSON file, and then if we wanted to Control-Z, just reload the previous state of the canvas as a JSON file. It was a bit of a shit show, and we needed to have a more cleaner approach. The other thing that we're considering, and it's probably going to happen, is dropping GooCanvas. GooCanvas is the library that we're using to draw with Cairo, but GooCanvas is pretty outdated. We started having performance issues. We started encountering problems in the flexibility that we needed to do, and also the clear usage of APIs, and GooCanvas has some really great APIs and some really awful APIs at the same time. So it wasn't the best thing. And we're slowly moving towards removing GooCanvas and tapping Cairo. For now, we're going to stick with Cairo, the drawing library, because it's pretty standard. Inkscape uses it and a lot of applications use it. So still actively maintained, it's pretty performant. So yeah, that's the thing that we're gonna do. But today we are going to literally do this. If I launch the application today, we're gonna generate a common widget for these two. As you can see, like the fields and borders, like this color widget here, it's identical for both, and even the text, or like the what do you call it? The input field, the text input field for the code. So these two things shouldn't be repeated in two different sections. We should have one single widget that we call when we need it. We add it there and we deal with it automatically. So let's do it, shall we? I think in the future also, the hide the color and delete the color, all these things, they should be, because all these things are repeated, right? So they should all come from one single class, and then we adapt that class based on where the class is used. We shouldn't repeat the exact same code. So yeah, let's do it. Let's create a new file. So let's start with fill item vala, and let's create a new file in the widgets area. Got a color field, we already have it. Yeah, see, we're already using some widgets in this case. So we're at the color field here, then we are using here in the color container is the color field, but we're not using the color picker or the color button. So color field, color button, we wanna, yeah, create a new file, okay, color button dot vala. Let's copy our beautiful code here. Do we have let's copy all of these. Add color button. Yeah, we need to change that. Rounded color button. Okay. To change a little bit the names of these classes. These are getting a little bit too generic and too easy to confuse, so we need to update, but these can be color button, and this is not definitely a GTK button, but it's a GTK grid. Help a class to quickly create container with color button plus and color picker. The color button opens up the GTK color chooser. Something like that, yeah. Get a GTK grid, and then let's add this to our list of files in the widgets area. ABC color field, color button dot vala color button. Okay. Boom. Oh. Mistake. I need to create, maybe before doing this, let's create a different branch, because yeah, you know, reasons. Yeah, let's branch out. Git checkout branch add color button widget, yeah, something like that. Okay, can you read the terminal? It's too small. I can zoom it a little bit. Okay, now Color button. Color button. Let's add this, change sets, okay. Alrighty. If I build this, oh, it builds even if it doesn't have a class, which is phenomenal. Okay, let's close it. Let's open up. So the Vala language server will recognize this file as a new file, and the color button is basically we need to add whatever we're building here in the, what is this? The selected color container. This is exactly what we're returning. We're returning this GTK grid in the selected color container. We have the selected color, which is the actual button that opens the chooser. And also in the selected color container, we are, yeah, we got the picker container. Yeah, I think is this one. Model bind, picker container. And we can do all these bind models, and we can use a signal or something like that. So yeah, let's create the UI, and then we can deal with signals and other good stuff. Oof, I'm so tired. I didn't sleep at all. Got some question. Yoba asks, are you using Elementary 6? Yes, I'm using Elementary OS 6 beta, which you can do too. Draman says, finally caught on Akira session. It's always good to have you around, Draman. Did you apply Thunderbird? Come on. Did you send your resume? Just do it. Do it. Adrian says some abstract class. Why? Should we use an abstract class? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think we should. Okay, so here I think is the picker container that we are interested into. Yes, the picker container. So the picker container, this is the code that we're interested in. First of all, margin top is identical to the margin bottom, which is identical to 1. Perfect. Then here, and to these, if I'm not wrong, let's check if we're doing something. The picker container doesn't have any, yeah, doesn't need to access the window, doesn't need to access any event, any signal. But in the color container, we have the select color container, which has select color. Select color container is just a grid, so we can use selected color container. It's totally fine here. And then we got a selected color and the color popover. And in the popover, we use this. Okay, so there are some classes that are used inside this, but are not. They don't need to tap anything, I think. So let's create this. Micah said, gotta use Hera because all those nice color pickers, etc., are not yet ported to Odin. Oh yes. Elementary, like the folks at Elementary didn't yet update I think the dashboard to release a new version directly in the App Center. Akira is ready, has already the Flatpak manifest ready to ship on Odin. I'm waiting for the publication dashboard to be updated in order for me to push a new version. So I'm sorry for the users that are using Odin and don't have Akira in the App Center. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the App Center or like the Houston dashboard CI to be updated with the new Flatpak workflow. So it takes time. It's fine. They're doing an amazing job there. I'm not rushing them. They're building an amazing product. So just take all the time you need. Absolutely. Just making it right and be confident what you're doing because you're doing amazing work. Okay, we got the selected color container that we can rename simply container because now we are in a more containerized class inside here. Oh. Oh, Draman says you will ask that. Haha, you know me. Trying to clear out the project. I'm around. Super rush. Yeah, no. It's okay. Micah said I also personally had some driver issue with beta, so hopefully stable release fixes those. Oh, interesting. Definitely if you had some driver issues, just write a report or add GitHub issue for the elementary devs so they know if something that they did or something that's related to the Ubuntu PPAs or the Ubuntu base or something that can be fixed always. The beta that's the, oh my god, I'm so tired. That's the purpose of the beta, is to, my eyes won't stay closed, is to find this issue and the user can report on this issue. So it's good. So we have a container and then we can add the container to this GTK grid because that's what we needed to do. That came out very weird. Field chooser. Picker container, opacity container. The field chooser needs to stay there. Opacity container, we don't care about it because it's a dedicated input field. The model is binding on the color container. What is this color container? Color container is the color field. We don't need to touch the color field, but the color container value comes from the binding property, which is perfect. So we don't need to touch anything. But what we need to do here, we need to transfer the selected color button, which I think it's also tapped here, the set button color. Okay. And set color chooser color, set button color. This method is tapped on color changed here, and on color changed is color chooser widget notify on color. I think all these methods can be passed inside. Okay, let's do a self-containerized thing as much as possible. So let's grab all these things, pop over, pop up, select color container, add set button colors. Okay, let's copy all this stuff. So we got color button. Let's rename these things. Color button, so it's better. And we need to declare it as a private attribute GTK button color button. Let's have it here. Perfect. And then we got the color popover, which makes sense. This is a container, because that's where we got the GTK popover. So also in this case is a private GTK popover attribute color popover. We got this bottom. We need the init color chooser and the set button color. So the init color chooser method is here. It's a private method that it's, wow, that's whack. Cute. Big. Okay, private. Let's see what we got here. Color chooser widget. If the color chooser widget, perfect. Yes, that's what we need. Color chooser widget. So we need to clear another private color chooser widget, color chooser widget here. So if the color chooser widget is a not container, add selected color, container. What's selected color? What is selected color? I missed selected color. Selected color, what is it? It's the button, it's the color button. So instead of selected color, it's color button. Boom. Okay. Then we got a color picker that it's a GTK grid, and then a global color flow box, but we don't need var. Got all these things. Your color bus, a color on color changed. Okay. Global color flow box, is it used somewhere else? It's used in the onSave color method. So also these little thing needs to be set as a private attribute. That is part of this class. This class is massive. Just a little color button widget has so many things. It's unbelievable. 2021, the license. Okay. Sort colors function on save colors and create colors. Also, another thing that I changed here was the color picker, right? No, the add color global colors. Yes, the color picker. Is the color picker use something else, somewhere else? Color picker. No, it's in the init. Okay, so the color picker doesn't need to also, this is not a color picker. Why is just color picker? This is a picker grid. Color grid. Color grid. Yeah, let's rename this. Let's rename this thing. Now, we need a bunch of methods that we're missing. Okay, you got this. Then we got the sort colors function. The colors function, it's very straightforward. It's basically always pushes the new color at the top of the line, and always pushes the add color button, the widget, at the bottom of the line. Also here, because we are already in the widgets area, these can be just simply add color. We don't need to specify a namespace, the same location we currently are, so it's even shorter, which is great. So we got our sort colors function, and now we need onSave color, global container, yes, and create color button. OnSave color, we need the onSave color method. There you go. It's private, onSave color, add the color store, create color button, container. Type container cannot be found. What is container? The container is the enumeral type that we specified here, so we need to port that as well in here before the class declaration. Beautiful. Yes. Oh, so many people are joining. Okay. What is that? Micah said the system booted fine with the default NVIDIA driver, but after initial upgrade I couldn't boot anymore, so might be something on my end. Probably, yeah. iClone, hello. You forgot about it? There you go. Micah said Vala looks a lot like the new PHP with types or C#. Yes, Vala is a C-like language, similar to C#. It's very similar to PHP for me. It's very comfortable to use. It doesn't have all the nice things. I painfully learn, and there's a contributor, MB Fraga, the guy that is rebuilding all the components, that is a huge C++ developer, is very experienced in that, and he's highlighting all the missing things that Vala has, all those nice features that C++ comes with and helps you to speed things up and write less code, because C++ already offers all those things. So, but yeah, I like Vala. Long story short, I like Vala. Alexander says, I don't understand most of this stuff. Me neither. I'm just pretending to know. I just appreciate your work. Thank you so much, Alexandra. Foss Lover said, will Akira become a Figma penpot replacement minus the group work part? Akira, yes, it's aiming to be like Figma, but for Linux, native for Linux. The collaboration thing will come in the future, but it's not the primary objective. Right now, we want to build a solid, performant, and professional standalone application that a designer can use. So my guy's learning PHP at the moment. I will get into Vala at some point. Yeah, it's very, very similar to PHP. I come from a PHP background. That's why I was able to pick up Vala, and it was easier to me. So yeah. Drummond says, I'm just curious, did you consider to use Flutter Dart for Akira for cross-platform support? I'm laughing because we had a huge discussion in the Matrix channel of Akira, and iClone was there to witness the discussion. So my quick answer is fuck Flutter. But my more educated answer is Flutter is a super nice, amazing, performant project for native application, which helps you to build cross-platform application in a way that you're currently kind of building Electron application, but better. But Flutter is owned and developed by Google, and you should never trust your open source project with Google-based technologies. You should never build your house in someone else's backyard, because if the owner of the backyard turns on the sprinklers, then you're gonna get wet. And Google doesn't have the best track records in maintaining the projects and the technologies that they create. Just look at the never-ending list of projects that Google launched, invested billions of dollars, and then shut down after a year. Even look at Angular. AngularJS was all the rage. Then they destroy it by releasing Angular 3, rebuilding it entirely from scratch. So projects built in Angular 2 couldn't upgrade on Angular 3 or without rebuilding it entirely from scratch. And now Angular is kind of like a second citizen language that is still developed, but is not pushed as strongly as it was before. And Google has a very terrible track record of projects dropping in and out. So I don't want to put my open source love and my will of creating a free and open source software that can stand the test of time on Google code base. Never. Inkscape, GIMP, Krita have been around for years and years and years. And even if they haven't been developed actively in the past years, or they're having a resurgence recently, they're still actively developed, fully open. No one ever took it and closed the source because they're built on fully open source technologies. And I agree with everyone that says, yes, but the open source technologies currently available are not as performant as Rust or the new like flashy things like Flutter, Dart, or whatever. But that's not the point. The point is not to build something for now that works now and it's cool now. The objective is to build something that it's based on something solid that has been around for many years, low-level programming that everyone can join and everyone can learn, and it will stand the test of time. So that's the thing. Peter Mitchell says, much respect for your work on Akira. Thank you. I'm currently working on an app for elementary OS myself, but this is advanced. Love your work. Keep it on. Thank you, Peter. Oh. Icon says, what is the replacement alternative for Angular? You got Vue.js if you love open source, React if you want to get tied to the shitty Facebook logic. I hate that way React is. I don't like it. Vue.js is the top to me. Ziban says, I'm learning GTK4, Rust. GTK RS are the bindings between Rust and GTK because of that. I will not use Flutter for the reason you explained. Yes. GTK available offline. Yes, exactly. Rust as a graphic user interface toolkit under development, 60 FPS. Oh, another UI toolkit. Cool, because we need that. Yes, GTK 3 and 4 have Rust bindings, but Rust is still pretty new as a technology. It's super promising. It's super performant. I like it, and I'm keeping a close eye on it. But it's still pretty rough. Rust is rough as a technology. It's pretty new, so I didn't want to base a massive project on a new coding language that I don't know if it's gonna stick around. I based the base architecture on something that has been around for many years and is developed and maintained by the GNOME Foundation mostly. So I'm pretty sure that these things will work for the next 20 years. I could have gone with C or C++, but at that time, I wasn't that good in low-level programming language. I come from a web design and web development background. So those were my options, and it's working pretty well, I think. Micah says, okay, this turned into a Q&A, so let me switch screen, and then we're going to continue coding a little bit. Micah says, trying to build my first big project currently, and the design part feels very important, yet entirely different from the coding part. Yeah, like a separate skills entirely. Absolutely. Absolutely. How about, Draman asks, how about Alpine.js? I have contributed to it, easy to use. Never used it. I've used the Ionic framework, Chucks, one time, 6 years ago. Didn't like it. Didn't need to use it anymore. 60 FPS is developed by QML contributors. Looks promising. Oh, another Q. Oh, shit. Okay, everything that involves Qt, QML, and all the bullshit right there, I don't trust. I'm sorry. It's all these things that they come from sketchy licensing. It's like it's itchy for me, and I don't like it. It's not optimal. Apenzel, you're absolutely correct. Design is often underlooked in FOSS, in free and open source software, sadly. Yes, absolutely. That's why I decided to start with the Elementary OS Human Interface Guideline and the GTK Toolkit and the Elementary OS Style Sheet, because those three things combined together, where at the time, let's remember, Akira started like 3 years ago. The proper code started almost 2 years ago. At the time, those resources were the top of the line, were the most explicit and the most comprehensive and complete resources and tools to create something visually modern, visually appealing, visually usable, that didn't require building a UI toolkit from scratch and dealing with a million lines of CSS or whatever. So now it seems like, of course, because Microsoft now said that we love open source, we love Linux and all this bullshit, now open source is seeing a resurgence in the desktop. So there are a million different applications, there are a million different new scripting languages and libraries that are all open source. But this is just a moment. This is just temporary. These new wave of technologies and super cool things will sooner or later stop. Will drop out of the spotlight, and people will lose interest into it because for whatever million reason, like it always happened. So I'm going with the things that I decided to go because they're solid. They've been around for years and they work, and they will work in 20 years, and they don't depend on the fundings of a multi-billion-dollar company. So yeah. More questions. Wow, that's awesome. It's MIT license, so I guess not really a problem. Yeah, a bit out of topic, but I have to build my portfolio website soon. Okay. Want to use animation, and also the site doesn't really refresh. What is the best solution for that? Vue.js. Vue.js, it's all asynchronous, and it's very easy to build up super cool things. Micah, I'm trying to do it in Figma so that I don't have to guess at every point what I should do. Yeah. As of today, I had to switch to Windows after using Elementor S for a year. Wish me luck, y'all. Windows? Ooh, sorry. I had hopes GIMP would get a new look from the Glimpse project. The designs look really nice, but it got put on hold, sadly. So it's nice to see design put into Akira. Yes. Yes. Yeah, it's sad. For the Glimpse project. I was curious to see where it was going, but it happens. Okay, let's go back into coding, right? Let's keep coding this thing. What I was doing. Okay, now I need a set button class that I need to grab from here. And as you can see here, I'm not removing anything from the fill item. I'm just copy and pasting everything into the color button. Then I'm gonna initialize the color button inside the fill item and see if everything works properly. Whoops, no, wrong location. Okay. Here, right here. Set color button, provider, content, selected color. Selected color is color button, get style context. Color button, get style context. Okay. Okay, now here we have something that we need to decide because we have color and alpha. And the color and alpha are part of the item, and the item is the base model of this whole thing. And we have here in the fill item, we have this very janky thing, prided that it's part of the model color. But you just need to pass the model. Yeah, let's just pass the model to this thing. Just pass the model. Let's pass the model. And then we got the model, which is... it's public. This should be private. Oh, we can clean stuff here. Private. Also, we are in the context of Akira, so we should maybe... Okay, so is model, it's equal to the model. Okay. Then create the color button, set the chooser color on color changed. Okay. Create the color button. Okay. What is it? Where is it? Where is it? What am I doing? Let's create the color button. Create the color button. This is the method that I need. And it's a GTK Flowbox child that we are creating here. We can set it, boom, here. And here we got the string color passed and the RGB color. This is pretty self-containerized, which I love. And then the set color chooser. The set color chooser also, if the color is set manually, prevent infinite loop by changing whether the color has been set manually or not. Okay, so we need to set that variable as well. This thing is my, imagine like all this code that I'm copying, I'm grabbing from the fill item and putting into this standalone widget color button. This code is completely repeated in the border item. So now that we shrink and we optimize these set color, these color button, then we integrate that into the fill item and the border item. We're gonna save the double of the lines of code, and it's gonna be awesome. So yeah, boy. Color set manually. What is it? This is a private boolean that we can use in here. Boom. And let's use the block style of comment. Okay. Color set manually. Okay, we got this, and then we are here. We need the color of, but we need the model color and the model alpha. And also here, we need to grab the model color and the model alpha. Perfect. Color chooser, we got this. Okay, now we are missing the onColor change. The onColor change is the method that takes care of actually updating the model thing. And this is where I'm not gonna touch this because this is not the right time. But in this case, instead of doing this, like this thing that I'm doing here, that I'm directly tapping the color and the alpha of the model and changing that, it's bad. Because these, there's no way to track the history of these unless we store it manually somewhere. And this is not a good thing. It's very, very bad. So one thing that it should be done actually is to replace the model with a new model with the update, and the old model, we keep it as history so we can bring it back to life if we want. But let's leave it like that for now. We're focusing on the UI right now, so it's not too sketchy. And I think this is pretty self-containerized, right? Of course, they started cutting the grass and using a leaf blower outside because this is the perfect time to do that. So I'm sorry if you hear in the background some noise, but so we got this. If I compile, I shouldn't get any error or any missing method. Okay. I think I can also remove the Akira because we are in the Akira namespace. I don't need to specify another Akira here. And also here we can shrink down the namespace shenanigans. This is pretty... Okay. So now what I have to do, I forgot to add it. So I'm just adding the container, but it's not the only thing that I have to add actually to this, because in here I am the picker container is acting the selected color, the eyedropper button. Do I have the eyedropper button already? No, I don't. So I can grab the eyedropper button. And am I using the eyedropper button somewhere? Delete button, click container on eyedropper click. Okay, an eyedropper click. Okay. I can do this. I can do this very, very easily. Let's grab the eyedropper button. And container, set button color, okay. Define the eyedropper button. Bar eyedropper button. It's just add container, add button. This is correct, right? I'm adding the proper the color container is here, which is color field. Okay, perfect. I don't need to touch that. These names are getting confusing, man. Okay, so all these things potentially can be gone, can be removed, which is great. But the eyedropper button needs these little click continue here. I need to connect to the signal of the eyedropper button. On eyedropper button click, I need to update. This is very interesting, or this is very nice, because the eyedropper button sets the color of the color widget. And because when you set the color of the color widget, we update the model, automatically it's just a trickle-down effect. I don't have to update the model from the eyedropper button clicked, so it does everything for me pretty automatically. That's good. Color choose a widget. Eyedropper. Akira color picker. Our eyedropper. Why I have the eyedropper? Is the eyedropper used anywhere else? No, this is the button, this is the button, that's the button, so it's right there. Color picker, what's happening here? Oh, it creates a new GTK window. These might... Oh, there's an extra space. These might need some rethinking here. Also, these needs update for... oh, the indentation here is wrong. What the fuck? Okay, I'm gonna do it later. It's fine. Don't touch this file. This thing needs to be rebuilt. Yeah, okay. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna do it later. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. It's fine. Let's leave it like that. Let's leave it like that. Okay. Oh, you guys are writing a lot while I'm coding. Okay, let me read your comments because I'm curious of what you're saying here. For what it's going to look like at some point. In fact, I decided to learn Rust and GTK4 for the reason. Talking about Glimpse. Header bar UI is possible in future GIMP provided you figure out how to deal with gazillion of features available via menu. Yeah. Will help with the design and make it more native to GNOME. Just why it's interesting. UX designer, or also called interaction designer, are getting more and more hired in development. They lift the weight of the programmer to be responsible for the interface. Yeah, kind of true. This trend will have an impact on the open source community, hopefully, for sure, at some point. And there's UI, yeah. Drama model chain. Yes, model chain. Hello, Paxi Lexifixi. Good to see you. Adrian says state management should be interesting if duplicated code is removed. Yes. Could some of that repeating stuff be extracted to their own method and then pass in the different stuff as parameters instead of copying all of them, or am I missing something? Yes, Micah, you're missing the entire point of what I'm doing. I'm copying those things from the fill item and creating the color button, which is going to be a standalone class. So I can delete all the things in the fill item and use the color button, because all the things in the fill item are also used in the border item, which is terrible. So that's what I'm doing right now. So it should be it should be done, I think. It's time to give it a try. So instead of the color button here, actually it's not color, but it's the picker container. Instead of the picker container is the picker container. So the picker container should be new widgets color button, and we pass the model. That should do it. We can remove. Actually, before removing it, let's comment it out so we don't lose it. Select our picker. All these things should field chooser, select the color is this, boom. Field chooser, what is this? Am I using it? Oh no, the field chooser is what I need here. But it's not used anywhere else. Attach field chooser. So this can be just an inline GTK grid. It doesn't need to be a private attribute. Also the eyedropper button doesn't need to be anything. Then the selected color is not anymore. Color container, yes. GTK popover, color popover is not a thing anymore. Okay. And the color picker shouldn't be a thing anymore as well. Or is it? No, the color picker, init color chooser. No, we don't need this. Yes. Okay. Color chooser widget, it's equal null. This is something that I forgot to do here in the color button. Color chooser widget. If you put a question mark in namespace declaration, you're saying that these attribute can be both whatever you're saying this, but can be also null or invalid or not defined. Oh, that's cool. Color chooser widget and the eyedropper, boom. We got the model. Okay, and then containers. We don't need the containers anymore. We don't need the color set manually first anymore. Okay. Okay, so we remove all these things. We got the picker container, which is the color button. We could name it to the color button. Let's leave it like that for now. We got the binding model, color set manually. Oh, okay. So let's rename these to color button. And instead of the picker container, we got the color button. Then the color set manually needs to be public thingy because we need to update this. Color button, color set manually. Unless we move the model of the color container inside there. We could do that. I think we should do it, but I'll do it later. For now, let's keep it straightforward like this. By moving it inside it, we don't need to allow accessing the public color set manually because everything is self-contained inside a single class, which is optimal. So I'm gonna do that later. The init color chooser, we don't need to use it anymore. The bindings for the eyedropper, we don't need them. The on-save color, we have it inside there, so we don't need that. This is okay, but the color chooser widget, create color button, we have it in there, right? Yes, boys. Also, these class, we don't need them. I don't need it anymore. Eyedropper click, we don't need it anymore. On color change, We don't need this anymore. Oh my god, I love this. Simplifying a million different things. Set the button color, we don't need it. And we don't need the set the color chooser. And we don't need the sort color functions. We're not using it anymore. Bam. Oof. Okay. Also these. Get out of the way. Okay, let's see if we broke everything. Probably we did. But I'm curious to see what we broke. Let's see. Oh, it's here. No crash. No terminal warnings and error messages. When we open it, it changes the model. When we use the color picker, it works. When we update this to Y, it works. One thing that we need to do, then you can see like the color of the object changes, but not of the button. So this is something that we need to fix and we'll fix in the future. But yeah, okay. So yeah, I have this issue here. I know this is the ghost item. Like if you click tab and I move it around, look, it remains there. That's an old issue. It's beautiful, eh? Look at that. You can do art with it. And if you tab on another screen, it just remains. Gorgeous. Yeah, I froze it. Gorgeous stuff. Okay, but it works. So we can delete all this stuff, which I love. Look how smaller this file will get after we remove all these things. Yeah, boy. My God, yes. I'm so excited about less code. So excited about writing less code. This is a beautiful thing. Okay, yeah, all these things can be inside the class because that's just repeated stuff. Yes, look at this. Let's remove this trash. Whoa, yeah, look how much deletion we had here. Beautiful. Okay, so I deleted a lot. Okay, this is way more manageable. Well, we have a file instead of like 500 lines of code, we have 200 lines of code, and we have another file with another 200 lines of code. And we know that this class, the color button class, handles one single thing, that fucking color button. Instead of checking, oh, is the color button inside the fill item or border item? I don't know. Just let's delete everything that we don't need. Which is so good. Amazing. Okay. It worked, guys. Let's commit, git add and commit. Move color picker code to its own class. Push set upstream origin, add color button widget. Yeah, new branch created. So good. Okay, so later on or moving on, we need to optimize this class a little bit because the code is not very clean. We need to clean it up. There's a lot of repetition also in this code, but already that we remove this, another thing that we need to do, we need to move the color button inside there because also the color button always goes hand to hand with that. So we got the, sorry, not the color button, the color field, which is the color container here, we're calling it. So the field chooser will have these two things and the opacity container, I guess. This might be annoying, but we can change it a little bit. So with all these model binding can be done inside there, which is phenomenal. We don't need to worry about it. And after we do that, we can potentially delete all these things we don't need it anymore. The hidden things to be there. And also, now that we have this class, we can literally use it in the border item. The border item that has all this repetition that we don't need, just do exactly the same. Scope it and set it, the border item or button. Let's see if it works. Our container here. All this stuff. Get out of here. Color button and this. Then see all this repetition. Jesus, eyedropper button. Go. Select color. Go color container. No, this we need a color picker, eyedropper, chooser, go away, color set manually, go away, and now we should have a bunch of errors. Will tell us where to is the model here. What do you want? Oh, sorry. Yeah, we're passing a different model here. So this is not a fields item models, but the fields item model is based on a common model. It should be the list model or the base model. Yes, so we can pass the base model. It doesn't matter if it's a border model or a field item model. We're passing the base model. So let's typecast it properly here. Base model. Perfect. Okay, what it's color button? What are the errors that we're having here? Hey, click it here. Okay, clickety. Model color, the name color doesn't have model based. Okay, so we need to update it for the, because the base model doesn't have color, fields, border, but the fields item model has these things. Comes from the field color. Okay. Ha ha ha. Okay. So we need to pass the type. Okay, yeah, we can do that later. Kind of tired right now. But yeah, basically we need to, in order to use these inside the border item, we need to pass what type of model we are dealing with. And we typecast it for it. Pretty straightforward. Okay, I'll do that later because now it's lunchtime, I'm tired. Hey, but that was fun. We did a lot of good work here, hey? We optimized a lot of code, we cleaned up, we removed a lot of extra things, and we create a little bit of modularity that now we can adapt to all the other sections. So it's really good, really good. Super Shiny asks, does Akira have a need for UX contributions? Oh, for sure, yes. Yeah, we are creating a bunch of widgets that don't exist, and we are trying to figure things out, so you can join the GitHub community and the discussions and all the things that you're curious about, and yay. Glimpse UI mockup is really clean. Glimpse is dead though. Hopefully they will get back to it. So the code is the best. Yeah, best part of refactoring is deleted the code. Oof. Who wrote those? I did. Yeah, Danny says now we need HSL color support. Yeah, just with time. Satisfaction of refactoring. Hello, Prabin from Nepal. Thank you. You are awesome. Git commit before a meteor X. Yeah, always whenever you achieve something that works, just git commit. So you have a good point to recover things if everything goes to shit. Hello from Alabama, US. Hello, Kwan. Okay, I think we are at the end of this live streaming. I'm so tired. I really need to sleep now. But thank you everyone for joining. If you are interested in the project, first of all, give a like to this video, subscribe to the channel because I'm gonna be doing more live streaming to show the progress of this. And you can donate on Patreon if you can, or you can simply join the Matrix channel. There's the link in the description below this video. You can join the conversation, help spread the word. In the GitHub repository, we have everything. We have all the assets, all the mockups. We have the discussions are really very active. You can join discussions. You can help by doing mockups and prototypes. You don't need to code. You can help even if you're just a designer that is interested in having open source application for Linux, for the matter. And yeah, if you want to buy a t-shirt, check my YouTube channel. Just click on the store, buy a t-shirt for Akira. Check lino.com/alacad. And yes, I'm gonna get some sleep. Thank you everyone for joining, and until the next one, as usual, happy coding. Bye.